Hey everyone, welcome back to the next RMS Titanic update video, bringing it back since April when we did our live stream. And in that video, we said that at this point we would have the exterior done, and that's what this video is going to be all about, talking about the progress that's been made since April and the next steps that's going to be taken in regards to getting this exterior build out to you guys in the next few months with an actual download map. And with me, I have Matt.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Long time no see.
Yeah, these videos always come out in longer intervals than we would like, but we won't really go into that. I think everyone at this point kind of understands that what it is that goes on with why these don't come out as frequently as either us or them might like. But enough about that. We can just get into what it means when we say that the exterior is now done, because that's kind of big news at this point.
It
And
really is. Go ahead.
yeah, the exterior being done really refers to the fact that Minecraft for a long time now has been in version 1.12. So when we say the exterior is done, what we really mean is that all of the features of the ship have now been represented in a final form that we are comfortable with, that we are happy with the way they are represented on our ship, and the way it maximizes those textures and blocks that have been available up to Minecraft version 1.12. So we've used the texture pack, as we've mentioned in the past previous videos, to really maximize all of the blocks that are available with the blocks types that are available to maximize a texture pack that brings you the best Titanic that we can.
Yep. So with 113, so we're gonna kind of move on here with 113. So as you know, added a lot of blocks. So when he says 112, like he said, the ship is now complete for 112, but with 113, with all the new blocks that are being added, that means that we can now change blocks because of we're using a texture pack that gives us new blocks to actually give us, it means new textures, and even just new blocks to use that are even better. So we'll be able to change quite a lot of things and make it look much better, especially with the debug stick. That's something that we have been looking forward to for a very long time. The only thing that we're really worrying, holding off on right now for 113 is just kind of for a nice stable version of a 113 server, along with all the mods to kind of come out. I have something that's working, but it's still a little finicky. I'm still kind of working on it. So as soon as we get a 113 server build open, we'll be able to hop on and start making these changes.
Yeah, so I'll kind of go into some of the changes that will be made. Some of them have to do with changes that are specific to differences between Titanic in its representation between the Southampton map that will feature the full interior, that will be the last phase of the project, and the exterior map that will be coming out shortly within the next couple of months once the exterior has been converted into its 1.13 form, and those kind of are two things. So there's features that have to do with the details that are historically different, and there's also changes that Matt mentioned that have to do with new features within Minecraft itself in 1.13, like new blocks for representation and things like the debug stick. A great example here would be something like these ladders, which are all connected to the blocks here, but with the debug stick, we will be able to actually disconnect all of these connections here to just make it connect at the points that will be at the ends, and similar features like that that'll be possible once we get this ship converted into its 1.13 form. Some of the historical details that will need to be changed specifically for an exterior map, we want to talk about that our exterior map is going to really be a representation of Titanic as she was when entering Cherbourg after Queenstown. And so I'm sure everyone's familiar with kind of some of the famous paintings surrounding Titanic, specifically the one about Ken Marschall with the nomadic that's close to Titanic. That is not the map or time that we are representing as Titanic is in Cherbourg. We're specifically representing a more oceany map with Titanic sailing, specifically entering the harbor itself next to the Fort de l'Ouest. And so some of the changes that differ between Titanic at Southampton, the way we have it set up right now, and how they'll be represented in the Cherbourg ocean map are things like ropes, crane positions, deck chairs and bench positions on the deck, these things change between historical photographs that we've looked at. One of the lifeboat changes that I can specifically mention is that at Southampton, we specifically see in photographs that the emergency cutters, their davits, have them swung in and vertical with the rest of the lifeboats, whereas we know that from Queenstown photographs and other ocean photographs of Titanic sailing, as well as Olympic sailing, we see those emergency cutters swung out over the edge of the bulwark of the deck. So stuff like that is just slight changes between details. Other things like vent position, deck chair position, like I mentioned before, are just other things that there's slight differences in their location and placement between the two versions.
Right. So I guess we kind of skipped around our list here. I think kind of mentioned a couple things. This video really isn't going to be too long. It's mostly kind of update video to kind of show you guys what's going on and what our plan is going to be. But I believe so. Can't remember if ZB had mentioned it to you, but we will be releasing an exterior map, an exterior only map. So it's going to be basically the Titanic as you see it with only exterior and not interior design yet. And so if he's going to look right now, he's flying around Titanic, showing you all that. But he might, hopefully he'll go show us what else we've been working on because obviously with trying to replicate more or less create a diorama, the more oceany map. There's other things besides Titanic that we want to build to kind of create this diorama, and that being the Fort of the West. And so that massive structure is something that we have to build. And so it's kind of been a good thing because we were kind of waiting for 113 to update. So since we really can't do any more on the ship, we kind of decided, well, let's go ahead and start building this Fort to the West while we wait for these things to update since, they take a good month or two for the modders to update. So we have quite a bit of that pretty much done. We have a lot of the structure for that built, and we're going to start working on the kind of finer details of that. Although maybe ZB will hold that and not really show that. Maybe that'll be kind of a special thing we see. Not
Yeah,
entirely sure what he's going to
yeah,
show.
I plan on flying over there in a second. I'm just the one thing I wanted to do now was just fly through some of the last few areas that hadn't been completed yet. So specifically things like the
Oh,
A deck
okay.
promenades. Yeah, and I wanted to fly through those to show that these things have been completed because no one has seen these things done
That's
since
true.
since April. And then once I start flying over to the Fort de l'Ouest that we've been building over the past couple of months, that also, just like the exterior facade of the Titanic, will also simply be an exterior facade, no interior. It's just really something to be set up as another exterior piece to the overall exterior ocean map. So now that I've kind of flown through these things, we kind of get one last look of the completed 1.12 exterior of Titanic. Some of the stuff will look slightly different when you see the 1.13 build of the Titanic with those new blocks, those new textures, but kind of give you an idea of what to expect from the Titanic when you do see it in the 1.13 version. So now I'm going to fly over to the Fort de l'Ouest, and while I'm flying over there, I'm going to be displaying a couple photos on screen to kind of give everyone a better idea, picture in their mind, if they couldn't see it already, of what to expect from the overall diorama look of the way Titanic will be placed on the map, the way the fort looks, and some of the other features that you can expect from the Fort de l'Ouest and Cherbourg map itself. So, okay, didn't take long to fly over there.
There we are.
Yep, so
So as you can see, this thing is pretty massive.
yeah, in some of the photos that you guys saw, especially the painting by Ken Marschall, since it's kind of so far in the distance, it looks quite small, but you can see here, it kind of gives an idea of the scale of the map that we're talking about, and you don't really understand how big 4 to 1 really is until you see Titanic and then you get used to the way Titanic looks in 4 to 1. But then when you start building other features like forts in the water in France, then it just basically it reminds you of how big 4 to 1 really is in Minecraft and the kind of the scale of these things in terms of the endeavor of the maps that we're trying to create here. So this has been done over the course of I think around maybe a month and a half of actual
Yeah,
building at this
that sounds
point.
about right.
Most of the information that we have here has been just references from photographs. It definitely hasn't been as serious of an undertaking in terms of getting everything just pinpoint block precision correct as the Titanic. Fortunately, we have been able to uncover some plans of the fort itself, which have made it certainly more accurate than it would have otherwise been. But most of this has to do with just using that one plan, not as much documentation, and then modern day photographs and also some historical photographs from World War II, if you could believe it.
Yeah, I will say one more thing that this was very tricky to build simply because if you guys kind of notice, and I don't want to take too long to describe this, but I guess I want to mention this because we had to kind of develop a new technique, at least in our repertoire of building this kind of structure. Because if you notice, a lot of it is circles, which means that we had to kind of do this whole like create a circle, delete it, and divide it up. Because you'll notice how smooth all these lines are. And that's kind of something we had to develop to make it look that way. We didn't use any kind of program to automatically do it. We pretty much just used world edit commands
Yeah, that's right.
in a very different way. And I mean, I'm quite proud of it, quite proud of the way it looked. I think it looks really good, but I kind of digress there. So I think there's one more thing we want to talk about.
Yep, there's one more thing that we want to talk about, and that's specifically in terms of a contribution that we're looking from our viewership and our audience that maybe is not only just following the project, but has been looking for an opportunity to become more involved with the project itself. And so we have an offer on the table for you, everyone who's maybe interested, that if you noticed in specifically the Ken Marschall painting that we had on screen before, you can go back in the video to refer to it again. You'll notice a couple of sailboats that we would like to include on the map to kind of fill in the space around Titanic to give it more of that ocean feel, that sailing feel. And so we would like, if people are interested, to both save us time and give people a chance to contribute to the project itself. If people are interested, we're looking for people who would want to build in 4:1 scale period sailboats, not necessarily of even necessarily identical copies of the ones in Ken Marshall's painting, but certainly ones that have a very similar look, if not identical or close to identical. And if they would want to send them to us on our Facebook page, if you want to send us a private message there, we will take a look at them. And if we find that people have built the best ones that we've seen, we'll add them to the map. We're looking for specifically two, one with a red sail, one with a white sail of two slightly different versions, preferably ones that are period to 1912, people who know enough about that or who are willing to spend the time looking into what types of sailboats those might be. Build them in 4:1. They only have to be exterior facades only. They don't have to have interiors. And building an interior won't increase your chances of them being added to the map, since this whole thing is about just exterior facades really filling in the diorama. And so if you do submit uh, one sailboat to us or both. We'll be picking the best two sailboats out of anyone who sends us any. We will add them to the Cherbourg map, and your names will be added to the contribution page on the PMC World download for the exterior Cherbourg map, and in the YouTube showcase video that will be made about this map once it is completed when the download comes out. So if you're looking for that opportunity, you want to take advantage of it, we'd be looking forward to those submissions.
Yes, definitely. All right, guys. So, yeah, was there anything else?
Not that I can think of.
Cool. All right, guys. So, I just thank you for joining us this time. We gonna cut a little short here. I know we tend to drag on a little bit, but we're gonna make this what looks like about 15 minutes so far. A little bit less than that. But thanks you so much for watching, guys, and hopefully this kind of gives you a bit more of an idea of what we've been up to these past couple months. And yep, see you guys.